Hello and welcome to Let's Talk NBA. Want to bet? It's our kickoff edition. So it's as you can see, it's a show that we dedicate to helping people that enjoy betting on the NBA, which is a nightly experience. You have at least 5 or 6 games every night. Some of you have 10, but we're asked a lot. My friend Jack, you all know Jack. How you doing?
Wonderful, as
you
usual.
Into the show? Want to bet? NBA, do you want to bet NBA?
Absolutely, I want to make some money.
This is what I constantly hear from people. Want to bet? Want to bet on NBA? It's fun because money can be made, and we're going to talk about betting trends, what to bet on, how to bet, how to look for teams and injuries. You got to know injury reports when you bet on the NBA. You really got to watch that carefully. Load management. You also, what do you call it? Time management is the word you use.
More like morale.
Morale.
Killer. Yeah.
Coaches. Killer. What specifically do you want to know? What really sticks in your mind about betting on the NBA? Because I got to tell you all, it's a great place to go because you can bet every night. If you're sharp, you can make a lot of money. You can make a lot of money. I have. My friends have. Watch this show.
Do you bet on the team? Do you follow the teams, or it's like whoever's playing, you can find a way to win some money off of them?
Great question. The thing about it is, in betting on the NBA, you've got to really look for trends. Trends are very important. First of all, as the season goes on, it's on need to win basis. It's like teams that really need to win a game that are good are going to win. As you get down the last 20 games, teams that are jockeying for playoff position is so big in the NBA, so big, and the trends are where you're going. So the top teams, if they need to win a game, they will win it. But day to day on the NBA, and your question is great, you got to look at travel schedule is big. Is a team going on a long road trip? And I'll give you a perfect example. The Brooklyn Nets went on a 5-game West Coast trip.
Which usually is a bad thing for East Coast
going from
team
east to west.
To west.
Exactly. And they started out and they won the first game, and then they had some tough games, and they went to Phoenix. They were down by 24 points in that game. James Harden led them back. Durant wasn't playing. And I saw that team come together at that moment. The excitement, the spirit, everybody's jumping on Harden. He led them back in the camaraderie all of a sudden. And I saw that team grow that night. And I said to myself, this team is going to win several games in a row because the spirit is there. They're feeling it. They came over to play the Lakers and Clippers and beat them both. Tough games, but they beat the Clippers easily one game. So, and then again, they beat them again last night. So they beat the Clippers in back-to-back. In between that, they beat the Lakers. It's like, that's a team that wants to win. That's a team that wants to prove they can win without Kevin Durant. He's been out for 4 games. That's a team that wants to win ball games and prove who they are. You have 3 proud veterans there. 3 proud veterans. You got a good coach there. I bet all those games. And I took the points in those games. And I won every game because I watched the trend. The other trend you really have to watch in NBA is back-to-back when you play 2 nights in a row. Most teams, particularly if you got to get on a plane and go somewhere. If you're Memphis and you're playing in LA one night, and then the next night after the game they got to get on the plane like at midnight and go to Phoenix and play, which is, they don't make them travel too far. It's tough because you don't get to the hotel till 3, 4 in the morning. It's a new room, it's a new bed. You're just not ready to play. And generally a Phoenix will beat a team like Memphis easily. You have to look at injuries. Injuries are important. Right now you look at teams like Toronto. Well, you looked at last night. Toronto, they were playing Philadelphia. Philadelphia was going into Toronto's home, which is in Tampa this year. Toronto is not in Toronto. They're in Tampa. But they're getting used to it. They've been there a few months now. That's their home base. They're starting to play good ball. Toronto is starting to find a presence. They got this kid Boucher who is really coming around playing great ball. Toronto is starting to get it. I said to myself, this is a natural trap game on Philadelphia. Philadelphia was favored, went into Toronto. Toronto wins the game by 10 or more. You look at another game last night that I was really interested in. Sacramento going into Milwaukee. Sacramento is an up and down, not a very good team. They were going to Milwaukee. Milwaukee's going to beat them easily. I think they beat them by 20. You look at a team like Detroit, who's going into Atlanta last night. Well, Detroit is floundering. Blake Griffin isn't playing. Who's playing on that team? I mean, they're struggling. So they go into Atlanta, and Atlanta wins big. Boston and New Orleans. Boston isn't playing well. They've been on the road. They've lost several games in a row. They're going into New Orleans. New Orleans is looking to continue to get better. They're really trying hard to get better. New Orleans beats them. So what I'm trying to say is really look at trends. You know, the greatest trend was if you bet Utah on that long winning streak they had, you made a lot of money because they were winning by 10 or more every night. And another thing, when you get a hot team like Utah was, bet the heck out of them.
Do I double down my money? So basically, whatever I win, just put it right back to.
Absolutely. What I do is, and this is, first of all, I like to play parlays in the NBA. I love to play parlays. Pick 4 or 5 games that really make a lot of sense. And I've given that out to friends that come into Vegas and say they say give me something to bet. And I'll say here's a 5-team parlay. And I've had more people call me up at midnight saying we did it, we won. We just won $1,200. We just won $2,000. And I've had it happen. I just had it recently happen with my son. He was in town visiting with his friends on a business convention. Dad, give us something. I gave him something, and they hit it. So I like parlays, but you really got to. Basketball is trends. NBA is trends. You know, certain teams are going to play hard every night. Phoenix plays hard every night. That was a weird loss that they had to Brooklyn. But that's another perfect example. You bet Phoenix against Brooklyn that night, last Thursday. Man, Phoenix up by 24. You're like, I'm done for the night.
Yeah, go to bed.
Hold up. Hold up. Brooklyn came back. The other thing is a good friend of mine taught me a long time ago. We call him the Phantom for a reason. He's an incredible gambler. He told me, Rick, in the NBA, when a team is double digits, they're getting double digits, don't ever bet the game. Don't ever bet the favorite. Don't bet it or don't bet the favorite. And he's been right so many times because what happens in the NBA is once it becomes garbage time at the end of the game and the team's up by 20 points and you're getting 10.5, all of a sudden the team that's down, the team that is the underdog starts shooting the ball and it starts going in. All of a sudden, the team that's favored wins by 8 or 9 points. Oh, they still beat them easy, but they didn't cover. So you got to watch betting on double-digit games. I don't care who's playing. Like there's a game tonight, right? Isn't it Charlotte at Utah?
Yes, as minus 12.5 for the Jazz.
Who would you bet on that game?
Probably Hornets.
You bet Hornets and take the 12.5.
Yeah.
As would I. As would I. Utah's, and that's playing against really the odds because Utah had won 18 out of 19 games by more than 10 points. Well, they had a loss the other night. They got beat pretty good. The Clippers beat them pretty good. Well, they're home again. They're playing an improving Charlotte team. An improving Charlotte team. So I naturally say I'm going to take those 12.5 points. What else you got? What else you got that that we should take a look at?
What about Heat at the Thunders minus 7?
Okay, OKC won last night. They had a big win against Cleveland. No big deal. Cleveland's a team in disarray. That's a game you should have bet last night, by the way. That was my number 1 pick. OKC playing Cleveland. Cleveland, their main man, Drummond, isn't even playing. They're not even trying to win. Their main guy, they got that kid Sexton. He's a nice ball player, but he can't carry that team. He's a small guard. You got Drummond, who's not even playing. The morale is sick in Cleveland. You're sitting guys that shouldn't be. Keep them playing. They're worried they're going to get injured. So OKC is going to win that game last night. So OKC is the back-to-back. So OKC, they finish up. Now they're going to play tonight. They go home to play tonight. They were on the road yesterday. Now they're going to be home tonight. Well, they had to travel. It's a back-to-back. The Heat given 7 at the Thunder. I'm taking the Heat all day because the Thunder have played 2 games in a row. The Heat have been on the road, and I think this is the last game on this road trip for them. But The Heat, they're playing good ball right now. They're trying to get back in it. Jimmy Butler's saying one game at a time. They're not even in the playoff race. If you lose many more games, you're not going to make the playoffs after being in the championship. So this is a big game. This is a big game for the Heat. Given 7, I'm going to take the Heat all day. We already talked about taking Charlotte in that 12.5. What else you got tonight? The Lakers play who?
The Lakers play the Wizards. -7 for the Lakers at home.
Lakers have lost 2 in a row.
You think they're going to lose another 3?
No. The Lakers, Bradley Beal is going to try to have a go-off game and score 40-something tonight. The Lakers will win by 10 or more.
Okay.
So that's 3 games I gave out. Give me one. Just give me one more.
So one more
And
for
this
me.
is how I do it.
One more for me is we have the Bulls and the Rockets. The Bulls are the only home team or road team that's favorite right now. Should I take them?
The Rockets are hapless. They are playing really bad ball. But they're playing it's tough. You're looking at a Chicago team that has Levine. Zach Levine is an incredible player. Chicago's trying to win games. They're favored by what, 2?
5.
5 at Houston.
At Rockets. Yeah, they're the only road team that's favored right now. The Bulls
If
are.
you forced me to take the game, I would take Chicago. I really don't want to take the game.
So you would stay away
I
from that?
wouldn't make that parlay. I got a 3-team parlay so far. And individual bets. I'm taking the Heat giving 7. I'm taking Charlotte getting 12.5. And I'm taking the Lakers and giving the 7, and I think they'll win by more than 10. Give me one other game. Aren't the Suns playing tonight?
Yeah, they're playing the Trailblazers at Suns -6.
See, that's a tough game.
Would you?
That's a tough game. Portland is a very, very hot basketball team. Phoenix is stinging from a big loss last week, but Phoenix is home. That's a tough game. You know what? Portland is a.
And Portland.
I take Portland in the 6 points.
Okay.
So I put a 4-teamer down. I end up taking Trailblazers and getting 6. I end up taking the Lakers and giving 7. I ended up taking Charlotte, giving 12.5, getting 12.5. And I take the Heat, giving 7 to the Thunder. Now, the one game I think that is critical that I probably, if I lost a game, it would be Utah will win by more than 12.5. That's the one game that scares me, but realistically, that's a great 4-team parlay right there. And I do it not based on the record, because anybody can win in the NBA. On any night, any given night, Minnesota can win a game. And they got a mess over there now. They got a new coach. It's tough over there. So I'd even bet on them in a certain situation. But these games right here, I bet for different reasons. Thunder playing 2 nights in a row. Heat on the road trying to start winning. Charlotte trying to improve every night. Every night they're trying to get better. 12.5 is too much. The Lakers are stinging from a couple of big losses this week. They're going to win by more than 7. They're dedicated. They're already thinking about that game. And Portland, they play hard every night, and based on that, I don't think you can beat them by 6. They'll probably lose by 2 or 3, but I don't think they'll lose by more than 6. So that's a parlay that I play. Again, trends in the NBA are. What do you see? How do you bet? How do you play your NBA games?
Generally, I'm looking for a hot team, and I generally stay away from teams that are traveling. Teams that are trending up, but when they travel, like if they're going on a East Coast or a West Coast trip, it's just iffy for me because sometimes that jet lag gets. Sometimes I'm like, man, I should have bet against them, or man, I should have bet with them because they're playing in the same arena twice, or in the same city, whatever the case is when they come to play LA, the 2 LA teams, stuff like that. So, me, it's generally one of the things that you hit on was the injury reports, whether or not a team is resting their guys and all that stuff, or like perfect example right now right as Anthony Davis went out, we had a discussion as far as would you bet on the Lakers, and I'm like, no, I would stay away from them right now for the next 10 games, and you're like, now is a good time to to see their trend and then ride on that wave, whether or not it's betting against them or with them. And right now, you're going to go with them because the trend is they have to improve because it's a LeBron James team, and eventually they're not going to just go on a 3-4 game losing skid.
Yeah, they're going to make a big push towards the NBA All-Star game right now. They want to be near the top. You know, I think they're number 3 right now between them, the Clippers, and Utah. You know, it's the 3 of them that are up there at the top, but Utah and the Clippers are ahead of them. Or I think the Lakers and Clippers might be tied, but it's close. You know, the Lakers, I think they got something to prove right now. They've lost a couple games without Anthony Davis. You know, they're a proud bunch. They are a proud bunch, and they lost a couple games they should have won. You know, you look at them. I'm really a trends guy, and what I mean by that, hot teams will remain hot and confident. Teams that are not winning will remain sad. Teams that are average will surprise you some nights and win big, but they'll lose. Those are tough games to bet. I look right now and I say anybody that's playing Cleveland, Detroit, or Minnesota, I'm going to bet on those games. And this is what you got to look at. Those 3 things, you can make a lot of money because they play every other night. Think about it. Minnesota just fired their coach, Ryan Saunders, who I said when they hired him, this guy will never make it. He's a horrible coach. Just because he was Flip Saunders' son doesn't mean he's a legend like his father. He's not his father. So Minnesota, and now they got a guy coming in, the assistant from Toronto coming in. Well, he's got to find the way of the world over there. He don't know these guys. Now he's a new guy in an organization. Minnesota will struggle for a little while and maybe pick it up. But Detroit, Blake Griffin is sitting on the bench every night, a capable player still. When his mind's on it, he's a capable player. I've seen him play some good games this year. You're sitting him on the bench. What are you telling your team? We don't want to win. We want. So I bet against Detroit every night. I bet against Minnesota every night, and then Cleveland. Again, that kid Sexton is great ball player. But what are you doing there? You're sitting a great player in Drummond, a force in the middle, a guy who's a scorer, a rebounder, a shot blocker. They're not playing him. You got to bet against those teams. So those are trends. Again, back-to-backs are tough. Travel from the east to the west. It becomes very tough. I look at Miami. They've come west. They've lost 3 and they've won 3. Now they beat the Lakers. That was good. They got lucky. They shouldn't have won that game. But now they finish up the road trip. The road trip is finishing up. They're in OKC. They want to go 4-3 on this road trip. That's my opinion. Miami doesn't want to go 3-4 and say we had a lost road trip. They want to go 4-3. So Miami tonight, it's a nice bet. Even though they're stopping at Thunder before they go home, it's a nice bet to take the Heat and give the Thunder 7. And I just gave out 4. So, you know, take a look at them. Trends in the NBA, again, injuries, travel, back-to-back, teams that are hot, teams that are cold, teams that are going through turmoil. That's what you got to make your decisions on. And there's easy decisions every night and way to make money. And by the way, don't play every game. I wanted to give out a 4-team parlay, and I want you all to comment on how we did. But how would you play that parlay? Would you play it the same way I played it?
Yeah. To be honest, the only thing I would actually stay away from the Trailblazers and the Suns, but just because the Suns play the way they play, but then the Trailblazers, they're also a scrappy team, so I can't see them. Maybe they'll pull an upset and win this game. You know, so I would actually stay away from that one. Whereas I'm more confident with the Heat, the Hornets, and the Lakers.
Yeah. The thing about you, and you make a good point about that's a real iffy game between the Suns and the Trailblazers, but I look at Dame Lillard's a leader. He takes those guys and says, let's go. He's got Gary Trent Jr. playing unbelievable basketball for the Trailblazers. He's got Carmelo playing great ball. He's got Cantor, who is really a beast, playing well. But, you know, on the other side, you got Phoenix, who's got Ayton in the middle. Ayton is a great ball player. You got Chris Paul. You know, you got Booker. That's a good team. So this is a very competitive game against 2 teams that are very close. I'm going to enjoy it. I'm sure it's on NBA TV tonight. I'll find it somewhere. But anyways, I wanted to do this show because NBA is so prevalent in people's ability to make money. I mean, it's not like NFL where you got to wait all week. You know, you got to wait to have the major part of the games on Sunday. You know, I know we have games on Sunday and Monday and Thursday, but those are single games. To be able to have games every night, 5, 6, 10, you know, they have 10, 11 games some nights. To be able to pick out 2 or 3 and make money, I'm telling you, you can make big money on the NBA. You can actually make a living at it. And one of these days I'm going to prove that. I have other things that I do, you know, but I really would just like to play racehorses and play NBA every day, and that's my life. But I'm not quite there yet. I don't have the confidence of that gambler that loses 3 or 4 weeks in a row, and I say, I can't do it. I lose confidence instead of saying, I'm going to hang in for the long run. So, but have fun betting NBA. You don't have to bet big parlays. You don't have to bet a lot in these games. Get one of these apps. You know, go someplace like FanWagon, which, you know, that's fun where you can bet against your friends. And those guys at FanWagon, I don't know if you check them out. There's a lot of betting apps, but I like those guys at FanWagon. They do a real good job, and I can bet against you there, and we can have a friendly wager, and, you know, we can make money at it going both ways. So that's what I recommend. Play some games. Go to FanWagon. You like FanWagon?
I love them.
Those guys doing a good job over there?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's a good team over there, Dexter and Chris. Check FanWagon out, by the way. These guys are real superstars, and it's a great place to bet with your friends. It's a lot nicer than just having, you know, making a bet on your own, a blind bet, and it does what it does. He and I will have some bets on these games tonight. We'll talk about it. We'll bet at FanWagon, and we'll have some fun with the wagers. And, you know, over the course of the night, we text each other and call each other bad names. So anyways, thanks for watching. We're going to be doing this show every week because we'll talk about what's happening. We'll talk about trends. We'll talk about who's winning and losing and where you should have your money. But this is our latest edition, our first edition of Let's Talk NBA. Want to bet? Do you want to bet? Watch this show, like it, follow it, share it with your friends that you can make money at it. See us at YouTube, see us at Roku TV, see us at Instagram, see us at WWDBTV. Great spot, WWDBTV. This is where we film everything. Great studio run by Mr. John Stiles.
Producer extraordinaire.
Producer extraordinaire. Thank you, John. Another great show. Thank you for watching. Make some bets. See how we do. It's okay if I don't do well and you come after me, but I think you'll find in the long run you're going to make money betting with this show. I really do. Thank you for watching.
Hit that subscribe button.
Subscribe. Thanks. God bless. Good luck with your bets. Keep betting. Don't give up. NBA. Want to bet?